Thanks for tuning into No Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today I'm going to introduce you to a wine by the name of Muscat de Beaumes de Venise. Well, that's a lot of words, so let's explain exactly what that wine is. So Muscat de Beaumes de Venise is a vin du naturel, in other words, a sweet wine from the southern part of France in an area called Rhône in a town called Beaumes de Venise. And it's made from a grape by the name of Muscat à Petit Grand Blanc. And we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. So let's talk about where this wine comes from, which is Beaumes de Venise. So this is an area that's southeast of a rocky outcropping in the Ventoux Mountains by the name of Dentil de Montréal. And in this particular area, we have a windbreak, which is very important. When we talk about the southern Rhône, there's a phenomenon that pulls wind from the Massif Central all the way down to the Mediterranean Sea, and that's a phenomenon called the Mistral. And it basically is a very strong wind that blows a large part of the year that keeps the vineyards cool, but also can cause some problems with, kind of rattling the vines and causing loss of grapes themselves. So in Beaumes de Venise, we actually have that Dentil de Montréal kind of blocking the Mistral from coming down through there. So in that area, we actually have a little bit more heat. So while they do make a lot of red wine in that area, also grapes like Muscat excel in that area. Now what's really quite different about this area is the soil composition. So here we have soil types like marl and clay and limestone. And when we look at Muscat, it actually loves that type of soil composition. So we have an area where the wind is buffered, we have the proper soil, we have very limited rainfall, and we allow these grapes to really concentrate their flavors. But more importantly, we allow this Muscat, which you also might know by the term Moscato, to actually concentrate its acidity. So that seems kind of strange. We're talking about a sweet wine. Well, the thing that separates Beaumes de Venise from other sweet wines is the beautiful acidity that comes with this wine that actually allows the sweet to be balanced with acidity, so none of it cloys on the palate. So you've watched No Wine in No Time, countless videos I'm sure, and we do dry wine after dry wine after dry wine. We've done a few videos on sweet wine, and I think if you look at the majority of the wine drinking population out there, it's leaned more towards dry wines. But a wine like this has an application, and it's really a beautiful application. And that's one right alongside things like fresh cut fruit in the summertime. Think things like cheesecake, absolutely beautiful pairings with a Beaumes de Venise. So let's talk a little bit about how this wine is made. So we talked about the Muscat à Petit Grand Blanc. That's the strain or the variety of Muscat or Moscato that this is derived from. So what we do is we start out and we introduce the yeast, which allows fermentation to start. But very early in fermentation, while residual sugar is still quite high, we introduce a practice called moutage. And moutage means we're actually adding a 96% alcohol base to our fermented wine, which at that point kills the yeast. But what it does, it allows that beautifully, naturally sweet wine to continue, and then allows the alcohol content to be fortified by that neutral kind of a grape brandy. So that's how vin du naturel is made, and there is actually vin du naturel videos on No Wine in No Time, and if you're interested in that process from beginning to end, go check those out. So now let's get back to what makes this wine special. So when we think about sweet wines of the world, we really have some classics like Sauternes, Moscato d'Asti, and Muscat de Beaumes de Venise. The reason why these are the epic sweet wines of the world is because of their consistency. and once again getting back to that acidity that allows them to balance. So let's dive into one and see what you might be able to expect. So the one I have for you today is from Chapelle Saint-Arnaud. So that's the winemaker, and this is a Muscat de Beaumes de Venise 2017 vintage. So let's take a look at the wine. The first thing that we notice is it's much darker in color. It's kind of a very light golden yellow, and it's quite clear. Now, with a Muscat de Beaumes de Venise, you can either have it chilled if you prefer it to be chilled, or you can have it at room temperature. I left this at room temperature because I know it will liberate quite a bit more aromas and flavors when it's not chilled. So let's go ahead and swirl and see what type of aromas leap out of the glass. The first thing that leaps out of the glass is this incredible kind of melange of, let's think, fruit blossoms. I smell apple blossoms, orange blossoms, a little bit of honeysuckle, a little apricot. Really just a beautiful kind of mix of what's kind of budding in the spring and what will come onto our plates in the summer itself. So let's go ahead and take a sip and see how the wine presents itself on the palate. So as this Beaumes de Venise rolls across the palate, we're greeted at the front end of the palate with everything from, let's say, honeydew melon to apricot to peach to a little bit of really just beautiful, right out of the comb, honey. I'm talking fresh honey, fresh from the farm. You get all of that. Now, what's interesting about this, being it's a sweet wine, mid-palate, we don't knock that flat. We actually lift it up with beautiful acidity that allows it to move on down the palate and not cloy on the front side of the palate. In other words, this is not a wine that you'll grow tired of instantly. You'll enjoy the first glass, and depending on what food you pair it with, you'll be begging for a second glass. It really is one of the most beautiful sweet wines of the world. So I'm going to get back and enjoy a little bit more of this Muscat de Beaumes de Venise, and I ask that you come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.